morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you want to find yourself in this weird, wild, wacky world we're in. This is another scene for Darkness in Dublin, the vampire venue. This evening's scene brings us back to the Indigo Lounge inside the Clontarf Castle Hotel, where I believe Miss Amelia Ross had a proposition for our lovely Tremere Primogen.
Yerp. Well, Amelia will walk in. I'm assuming Katya's at the bar, right?
She is actually in a booth towards the back of the room this time. She is by herself.
Okay. She will approach with chocolates, always.
Katya is fine with this. She has a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
She will accept the chocolates
She will
gladly.
sit down and greet. Good evening, Primogen Vanessa.
Good evening, Amelia. You wanted to see me?
Yes, formal business, let's say.
Okay. Been doing a lot of that, it seems, lately.
Oh, yes. The wheel needs to keep turning. That's why I'm here to speak with you. I'm planning on applying for the position of sheriff.
Ah, I heard they were opening that as I suppose a contest of sorts.
I would also like your opinion on that. I mean,
Are you asking me who I'll be supporting?
I'm primarily asking you if you believe I have the qualifications. I certainly believe I do. And if you do, if you would be willing to support me for the position.
Well, given we've been banned from giving our letter of recommendation to members of our own clan, does leave me at somewhat of a difficult position. As you know, Mistina Frost is also vying for that position.
I understand, and I believe that she will be getting support from my clan. At least from my clan's Primogen, I believe. For the same reasons. They can't support their own clan, but we do have friendship with her.
Again, by the way, you guys can come in at any point, so.
Yeah. Is it alright if Ryan's kind of been in the room the whole time, but he's kind of like been with his back turned to you?
Yeah, that's fine. He can be at the
Right.
bar or wherever.
Ryan would like wheel around on a stool and go, "Oh, if only you knew somebody who could tell the exact position of somebody via nothing more than their name. Wouldn't that help with the trial?" Just a thought.
Are you putting your name in for the position?
Oh, of course, not personally. I have much more important things to be doing, but, well, can't say I wouldn't be able to lend a hand for a fee.
Well, that will have to go to whomever is chosen as sheriff, after all.
And besides, I am always a friend of the Nosferatu. Clan friendship, my dude. Got you. Got you, home.
Hello, Theodore, dear.
Oh, hello. And he
Hi,
will just
Theodore.
wait. He will just one moment, and he'll just get something at the bar, and he will come all the way down to the bottom, and he'll be like, good evening. Hoping to see the most of you here. How are we all doing?
Doing
We're
quite
doing-
well.
Yeah, well. Maybe. Yeah.
Just when you think things couldn't get any worse, a wild Derek Bond appears. Walking in his usual dapper self, because, fashion sense specialty.
Your sound is going up and down again.
I know. This fucking connection. Hang on.
My
I've
question
closed down
is,
literally every single I'm not rolling dice in today, so I'm including Discord.
Yeah, we shouldn't be doing any dice rolls unless, Evan decides to pop back in and fuck up everybody's day. So.
Yeah. I need the bandwidth, so yes. Yes, Derek comes in usually. Is it doing it again? It's fucking doing it again, isn't it? Fucking.
It is, but it's really not bad enough
Fucking
that I
It's fine. It's fine.
we can hear you
Alright.
either way, so it's
exactly.
Alright, so either way, Derek comes in usually looking his usual dapper self, because, parent specialty. Yes. He walks in. He walks in probably just strolling right up to the bar, seeing the usual faces. Well, I say usual faces, the usual pleasant faces. Nosferatu included. Sorry. And just simply, doesn't want to interrupt the flow of the conversation as such, but he does stand next to Theodore.
Well, upon seeing, another Primogen, Katu would stand from her seat and move over and greet him with a kiss on either cheek.
Yes, and Derek will take it with all due dignity. Good evening, madam. I apologize. Am I interrupting anything important?
Oh, we were just discussing the opening in the sheriff's office.
Good evening, Primogen Bond.
Good evening.
I was talking that I will be applying.
Ah. And whom else, may I inquire, is in the running?
I believe thus far we have Mistina Frost, a Ancilla of my clan. There was... who else? I believe another Nosferatu that I met very briefly by the name of Jonesy.
Yes.
Who else was there? Oh,
Miss Monroe.
Miss Charlotte Monroe as well.
Ah, the harbinger of the apocalypse. Interesting.
So I see.
Oh, Theodore.
What?
You are charming, you know that?
I try my best.
But yes, at the moment I believe that is it. I cannot recall if there were any others.
Anyway,
And
it's
she would
good
move
that...
back over and sit down.
Please come sit with us, gentlemen.
Tell me, is anyone currently aware of the challenge that we posited to us at this moment?
Are you referring to what we discussed yesterday?
Well, not specifically, just in terms of well, I assume that to qualify for the role of sheriff, you will be required to fulfill some sort of task to prove that you are at least competent. Is anybody aware of the person and/or objective?
Well, I'm not aware of anything, but I am more than willing to
I believe
prove
the first
myself.
task that they were given was to receive the... I suppose you'd call it blessing of a member of the council. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's why you are here. Is it not?
Indeed, if you believe, of course, that I have the qualifications to do so. If you have objections, I'd gladly hear them.
I've seen you in a fight. You are competent, to say the least. And from the mouth of a little bird, I heard that you saved both myself and Francis during the battle with Aishar when we were incapacitated.
As was my duty. We don't leave people behind.
Gotcha. Of course, I would raise as a humble apprentice of yourself, and you can see he's closing his eyes when he says that. That of course, a person that you did back and were to, I don't know, receive the title of sheriff would of course be particularly ingratiated towards you, wouldn't they? I look over at Amelia.
They would indeed.
I also look over at Derek. Of course, you can support somebody and give them an option to go in for the running, Derek, but whether or not you actually have to end up with them and taking the position or not is entirely up to you.
Of course. One would presume, however, that the task set forward to select the right candidate would be at least sufficient for it. However, I would be interested to see what the task in question would be, but I imagine that Prince Hennessy will no doubt he will no doubt sate our curiosity within the next few nights.
Oh, of that I'm certain.
If I were to perhaps hazard a guess at what might befall the person required to fill the position of sheriff, I would say that it likely pertains to what was his name? Spectre, I believe. You know, the gentleman who's been harassing several people that are close to the Seneschal.
Yes, Spectre.
And I've
He's
heard
a
something.
member of the Black Hand and a member of the Nosferatu Anti-Tribu.
Anti-tribute. Well, point being, it's a person. A person can be found, especially if you know the right people.
He's a Nosferatu.
Bingo.
Of course, I have no doubt that I could possibly find him.
Though, that does beg the question if Prince Hennessy would choose him as the target or not.
I would say that it's a likelihood at this point. Perhaps there are other options at this moment, but I doubt they'll have you hunting the number one red lister. I don't believe that's a job for a sheriff, more that of an Alistair.
Yes, I don't believe that this is a domain issue. This is a worldwide issue, I would assume.
So given the context, I would imagine that seems to be the most likely option.
I suppose I should inform Florin of the imposter as well.
Should you?
It doesn't hurt to earn the gratitude of the Giovanni.
Allow me to posit something to you. Are you familiar with the particular path of necromancy that allows you to, well, hypothetically, temporarily obtain some of your human characteristics and suppress the beast?
No, in fact, I had not heard of it.
Well, you may have noticed that Florin often takes to eating human food and blushing up with health and doing normal human things. He is also theoretically a talented necromancer, being from the Death Clan themselves. And, of course, I have heard rumor through my studies that may or may not have a substantial effect When you, of course, have to return to your standard self, the beast somewhat bites back, as it were, resulting in a particularly short fuse. Just a hypothetical. The gentleman seems to be taken to flights of irritation very, very quickly, and positing it to him that his uncle is in fact an imposter and that he's been repeatedly insulted by the number one red listed behind his back the entire time would not result in a particularly favorable outcome for my tutor in thaumaturgy.
You may be right, but he may also be glad to be appraised of this problem so that it does not continue.
Well, maybe you should send one of your regent schools. What was his name?
You mean, my lord, I am the regent, darling.
Yes, for Dublin at least.
Yes, for Dublin.
Why don't you send one of his schools on official Tremere business to inform him? Maybe he might even cease to spy on you for unfortunate situations that might have occurred as a result of him informing him of that information.
Now, are you suggesting I get one of my lord's ghouls killed?
No, I would never do such a thing. But wouldn't go amiss. Oh, real vampire talk. Oh, it's good to actually plot for once. It irritates me, the needless whacking.
Oh, Mr. Fumar, I don't know. That seems a little bit too sinister for my taste. But I do agree that it would be common courtesy to let them know.
I will let them know one way or another.
But it might be pertinent to kill two birds with one stone. One more so than the other.
You are terrible, Mr. Fermo.
Well, you don't live this long without being a little naughty. He sips his drink.
Kati is also sipping on a glass of straight whiskey. Primogen Bond, you've gone quiet.
Just thinking, my dear. The events of the last few nights have been a little... not hard to follow, but hard to follow the logic, perhaps.
In what ways?
Far be it for me to presume the minds of either this red lister that saw to it to imitate one of the Giovanni for however long that they did, as well as whatever else they've done in our list, unbeknownst to
I was going to
ourselves.
say, considering that Kementiri impersonated a Ventru Justicar for over a century, it doesn't come as too much of a shock.
Perhaps I'm thinking a little too much into it, but the logic behind it, the logos, one might argue, it seems to be somewhat lacking. As if there is no logos per se, just chaos for the sake of chaos.
Well, Derek, you know what they're like. Setites, pathos, pathos, pathos.
Well, she did want that bloody book from the park.
The Sargon fragment, yes.
Sargon the Great must be turning uncomfortably in his grave right now.
Yes, well, there will be very little getting that book back.
I do often wonder whether the Acadians actually had anything to do with kindred history.
I would be surprised if they didn't, considering that they were the center of civilization in the Mesopotamian era. In fact, one might even argue that had there been no Arcadian Empire, then there would be no civilization as such, at least for the greater Europe and Middle Eastern regions.
Yes, omitting the whole Babylonia first and second, and of course post-haste the Assyrians.
Of course.
But yes, there will be no getting that book back, I don't think. Not with where I threw it.
Yes. That was pretty badass, by the way.
Yes, as long as it is in some place where it can cause no possible harm and no possible harm can come to it, I imagine that anywhere is better than in the hands of, well, anyone?
There, I agree.
Well, we can all hope that that is the case. Of course, there is no guarantees.
No, but we more than likely will live long enough to see the conclusion to that, if there is a conclusion to it.
Well, it really depends on where you're looking from. Are you familiar with the Wraithly types, the Shadowlands?
I've been informed of certain details relating to it. Nothing concrete, purely esoteric.
Of course. Might consider inviting you along myself. Maybe we could go have a look at Cadia.
Perhaps.
But I digress. Point being, the Wraiths have a certain skill. They're able to gaze upon a person's soul and look at the rents that are and will eventually form in a person to divine their eventual death. Of course, this does not work on kindred, but it does on their servants' ghouls. They tell exactly how they die. Hypothetically speaking, I may or may not have determined a specific date in which a lot of them seem to suffer a very unfortunate death in which they are devoured. Now, I'm not a believer in any of this whole Gehenna juju, as I'm sure you know, but if I had to put my money on it, and he taps the table. And if you think we're not going to follow them, he leans in, then the ivory tower will fall like that of Babylon.
Katya is going to remain silent at that.
Then one must argue, who will step forward to be the new Sargon of Akkad, or in this case, Sargon the Undead?
Well, hypothetically, I am not currently aware at this moment, but speaking from a personal perspective, I would address each situation as it comes to faces and not gaze too far into the future, as I'm not sure there is one for us.
I really love your positive attitude.
We're all gonna die.
Eventually.
You're already dead, my good sir.
Yes, we've all died once already.
But perhaps that is just merely the esoterica of the vampiric condition that I'm merely commenting on.
Yes, it is a somewhat odd half-life, wouldn't you say?
Oh, dead or not, we're still animated.
Yes, I believe I may have drawn this rather off-topic, but
Yes, I understand what you are trying to suggest. The idea that at some point in the near future there will be a cataclysm which will engulf pretty much all of kindred society, or at least all of kindred society in Dublin within...
The overlords don't like you talking about that.
No, but I'd prefer to speak bluntly so that I'm not misunderstood.
Well, understandably. The point I'm trying to get across, at least when I bring up such a morose topic, is simply that we should focus on the now and the then and enjoy the moment as it is and not think too far into the future.
That we can agree on.
In that, I suppose we should figure out if it is that you want my support. I think, given what I've seen of you, and you saving both myself and Francis, what is it you require of me? A formalized letter of recommendation, or...
Yes, it has to be in written form.
If I might make a suggestion, I don't believe Lord Stahlheim would be particularly pleased with you if you gave it away for free, especially to an Nosferatu. His current situation is somewhat stressed with him at this moment in time, as I'm sure you're well aware.
No, I'm well
Perhaps
aware.
charging at least something menial to make it look like you engaged in bargaining in a transaction.
Wouldn't that be almost like a bribe, though?
Well, bribe's a strong word, isn't it, Derek?
Yes, it can be, though the context of the donation, let's put it neutrally for once, the context of the donation is more important. There's very many such transactions made between large corporations whereby an asset is simply purchased for $1, simply to put it on books.
I'll be clear about it. I have no objections in any such transaction as long as my merit isn't questioned.
Oh, hardly, but given that my superior would frown upon me giving away said recommendation for free, what say you to a minor boon?
Might I give a suggestion? Do you remember our conversation last night, Katja?
Of course.
Well, the night prior, we discussed a certain event involving the Chantry and a number of items from said Chantry. Perhaps you could entreaty the Nosferatu in a hypothetical situation that they might return some of the property once they're, of course, done with it.
Out of character, she could ask for that anyway. She has a major boon owed to her by the clan.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is you could get it. You could get that, and it wouldn't cost an Nosferatu anything particularly important, and you wouldn't have to spend your major boon. You'd instead be trading a minor boon for something you could pay a major boon for, is what I'm saying.
True. I suppose you're right. Get back what is rightfully my Chantry's belongings.
Is this something in which I have sway?
Mr. Famo, you said it was the Nosferatu who asked for your aid in this matter of raiding my former Chantry, yes?
He kind of like chokes on his drink. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Really now?
Yes.
Theodore just gets up, looks a bit, if you excuse me for a moment, and yeah, he just walks off for a moment.
Oh yeah, well, suck my ass.
Okay, maybe you want to clarify that, because, look, all this thing happened before I was even here, so...
Katja's going to activate Aurasight on Theodore.
You can do that.
And
I just gotta
think,
find her
Mr.
dice
Long,
pool.
I think you may have offended my friend.
If you require clarification, all I would say is that I was borrowed to fulfill a certain task for the Nosferatu, which may or may not have revealed certain pieces of information regarding the destruction of the Chantry. I do not know whether for sure it was anybody in particular. I will not name names, and I did not name names. But what I do know is that when I was borrowed to search for information, the people who collected me, without my consent, might I add, they were friends of mine from the Nosferatu clan. I'm sure this was purely pertaining to the search for Aisha, of course. It had nothing to do with the destruction of the Chantry.
Here's the thing.
Theodore, just have you rolled your thing?
Not yet. I was trying to find her dice pool, and I forgot how shitty her fucking dice pool is for this. Jesus, I need more empathy.
I hear
It is a
you,
thing.
sister. I get the same problem.
3 successes. She can tell his basic, like the predominant color of his aura.
He is. Fuck the color chart. His.
Exactly. Just give me the emotion.
Yeah, surprise.
Okay.
More like. Oh, you can get more than one color with 3 successes.
Go make sure.
Shade with 1, dominant, and I think it's more than 1.
Yeah.
I know at 4 you can tell pretty much fucking everything, even minor color patterns.
Yeah.
I mean, considering the exact timing of when you walked off, would it be? Yeah, I might posit a question to Theodore using Mythoceria. Theodore, is it? I believe we discussed prior in the Elysium some nights ago about a certain Pentex situation, correct?
Quite.
Yes, I was wondering, of course we are speaking bluntly in this situation between certain reasonably well-reputed members of the Camarilla. You wouldn't happen to have shared this information with others, would you?
No.
Are you lying?
He is not lying. But he is thinking of something else. He will... like, this is coded, or is this telepathic?
What I'm saying is that Mythoceria allows you to, provided you declare before it, which I did, if you were intending to share that information with other people, yeah?
Wait, let me think. Because I'm quite sure he didn't... Like, he might have hinted to that there are other problems, but I don't think he mentioned Pentex by name or anything. The thing is, he is planning on talking with the Seneschal about it, and maybe even the Prince. But
I should clarify, right? Basically, the question I asked you with Mythoceria was, are you going to leak this? Are you going to share this information with others outside of this room?
yes. Then he is going to answer yes.
Well, couldn't say that I wasn't in poor taste.
And he will look to you and he will just say, I'm going to share it with people who probably already know.
Well, I would imagine they do, and it's quite obvious in of itself. But the thing I would point out to you is we are currently in good standing at this moment. I wouldn't want to spoil that situation, as I'm well.
Oh, no, it's not so.
I'm sure you're well aware that I'm currently trying to chase up something with a certain corporation. I'm quite, should we say, occupied at this moment in time. Would you mind doing me a favor and sharing this information post Pentex? Once the matter is resolved, of course.
Simply sharing it with everyone else when the investigation as concluded?
Yes, of course. I would not want to deal with such. Well, I don't believe I can divine the exact emotions that will be presented by the prince, but he is a private man, as are most.
Quite so.
And hypothetically, I would imagine that such a revelation would not be pleasing to him, and would like to remain at least amicable for the certain current situation for future reference while resolving the Pentex Corporation plot.
Quite. But what sort of timetable do you think we are talking? Just as a matter of course.
Well, I'm not currently aware at this moment in time, but Brian's clearly thinking to himself, I cannot give you a specific date, but, well, it would be ill-advised to, well, what's the word? Piss off the necromancer? Is that what I'm going for here? Yeah, I would say that's correct.
And it's not my intention at all.
Excellent. Well, all I'm saying is, please do keep this under your hat temporarily. I need to resolve certain situations prior.
Understandable. I merely would wish to, if possible, mention it to my prince and, well, such does the Camarilla dictate that one should talk with one prince when serious matters are of import. And, well, again, he probably knows.
Yeah. Sorry, is Theodore using telepathy at this moment or no?
Nope.
Excellent. All right. Just to clarify for everyone else, we're just having this conversation. All I'm saying is this is clearly a private meeting with people who are speaking bluntly about certain opinions regarding various different things. It could get them in a lot of trouble if it were to be leaked. Savvy?
Savvy.
Well, I won't drag on regarding this point, but as you might imagine, as I have previously stated, the reason I'm not going for the position of sheriff is because I'm currently a busy man.
And you're not part of the Camarilla.
Yes, I am. Simply because I'm not in a clan does not mean that I have accepted membership of the Camarilla. In fact,
No, it was merely some of your statements before, but...
Oh, well...
He is a
Walk
member
around
in
the
good
bridge.
standing with our sect.
Quite so, but I am very new as myself. I do apologize.
No, of course. I understand, given my appearance, that I might come across as...
Oh, no. Your appearance has nothing to do with it. You are very... And he just kind of just puts a hand under his face. There's nothing wrong with your appearance. That is not the case. It was just... It was simply my misunderstanding.
Yeah. Might I inquire, Theodore, how old are you at this current moment in time? You've been on this earth for at least more than 1 century. Would I be right in saying that? You do grow off a certain character. Well, I'm sure that over your time you have become well aware that there are certain things that keep certain people in line, and those certain pieces of information are not to be leaked to those who are might react in a negative manner. Of course, everybody speaking here is, old enough to know the difference.
Oh, yes. But I do believe that in our discussion, I was not the only one present, was I?
No, of course not. However, the others here are all, and I look across the table, old enough to know better.
Quite so.
Unfortunately, even in kindred society, age doesn't always denote intelligence or tact.
Certainly, otherwise there wouldn't be certain people going for the position of sheriff.
There's a light chuckle from Theodore.
Yeah. Well, I digress. Point being, Amelia, if you wish to obtain any help from me, I would be more than happy to. The Nosferatu have always been consistently good friends of mine, and I wish to remain on amicable terms with them, as I have mentioned to Theodore. And I would be glad to help you in your endeavors.
You can help me retrieve Primogen Vanessa's items, perhaps. It seems that you know more about it than I do.
They are hardly mine. They belong to my clan.
By the way, a thing, when Theodore left, he left for maybe 20 seconds at most.
Yeah.
It wasn't very long. It was
that is-
like he was...
Yeah, of course. It is long enough for somebody to go help, set a shop, everything is on fire.
Yeah, but it wasn't like he was gone for 5 minutes, but like 30 seconds.
You can tell that, like, when Ryan was talking, he wasn't saying it just to you. It was just for the sake of, clarification with everybody else. This is a private conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, because at current there are no ghouls present. They are all in other parts of the chantry.
Ryan shrugs. You might have a point, Amelia. Perhaps I will have a conversation with the prince at some later date. When he doesn't find it convenient, he is after all a busy man regarding the property of the Tremere that was borrowed temporarily regarding the whole Aisha investigation.
Well, I can definitely bring it to the prince as well.
Of course. Well, it's a bit of a positive situation. You get the support of the Tremere for your candidacy for sheriff. Everybody wins. Nobody gets annoyed. The situation is resolved.
Are we in agreement then?
Yes.
Ryan would extend a mink-gloved hand.
Emilio will shake his hand, then extend the hand to Katya.
Katya extends a hand. Her fingernails are perfectly manicured. There is not a thing out of place.
I'm not posh, I just hate touching people.
Oh. Emilia's hands are clean but scarred. So I suppose you can email me the form when you're ready, and
Yes,
I
indeed.
can inquire about the items for your clan.
Perhaps I might be able to bring the situation to the prince at some prior point. Like that, he thinks to himself, reaches into his jacket and presents a business card to Amelia. Please call me when you are free at some point, and the prince is also available.
Will do. She takes the card, takes out her wallet, puts it in.
And of course, the number may be used for other such reasons.
I'll keep that in mind. And since we're at it, I might as well give you my number. And she will just take her phone out, take the card out, and text you her number. Much.
Yeah, Ryan would produce a really, really old Nokia brick. And like, he's holding it like it's a quill.
See, we're old school.
Yeah. Not gonna labor the point, but the idea is he's doing it with correct elocution.
Yeah, Katya has caught up rather quickly in, the 20 years she's been awake. She's got, smartphone, the whole 9 yards.
Well, going into Orlando, you have to hit the ground running, I would say.
She woke up in late 1999, so it was kind of,
Oh,
Shock.
the era of frosted tips and flame-colored shirts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was
And
bad.
the weird jeans.
Yeah.
The ones that look like, I don't even know.
Bakugan and a Guy Fieri were cool back then.
Anyway,
It's really sad that I remember those years.
if nobody has anything else they want to bring up,
Well, maybe. Theodore will just look around and would be like, well, speaking of positions in court, I'm to assume that we still have the same Master of Harpies, yes?
yes, Alexander Delano, Clan Toreador.
Wherever he may be.
Oh, he has been perfectly available.
But how many Harpies do we have? That's my question.
As far as I know, there's only one.
Dr. Green, right? Yes, who spoke to her the other night.
Interesting. Well, I do happen to have myself a regular acquaintance with the Elysium. Perhaps it would be an option to entreaty the prince. Hardly the most charismatic man myself, but I have my words.
I think Theodore was interested in that, if that's what I'm getting from his question.
Ryan looks Theodore in the eye. Tell me, there are three harpies is the limit, is it not? It is 3, right? Like out of character, or am I going nuts?
I don't even think it's actually like an officially recognized position.
Yeah, but I thought there was roughly 3 underling harpies, generally speaking.
Yeah, generally speaking, there's usually about 3, depending on, the city and how big it is.
Yeah.
Yes, currently we have 1. Dr. Katrina Green, also Clan Toreador.
Well, I think we need to represent. Raises his glass.
Quite so. It seems a shame. If there's only one, I mean, people are to record their booms and all such.
Yes. To the Camarilla. May its
Quite.
endeavors continue long into the night.
I'd drink to that, but I can't drink.
My dear, you know I serve more than just booze.
Then I think it's a perfectly good time to have ourselves a nice toast.
Precisely. Ryan's actually an Elysium regular because he can't drink from humans. He has to get it bottled. Which is why he only has 2, even though he owns an extremely huge bookshop, is because he spends most of his money on buying blood.
Oh.
Katya needs to teach him Sanguinous File so that he can get a herd and use them and then just store it.
I do actually, because the system is obviously that it says when you purchase Thaumaturgy, you get a level 1 in your primary path and a level 1 ritual, and I'd pick Sanguinous File since that's the only one I'm allowed to learn, since it's the only one you know.
Yes.
So at the end of the month, I will have Sanguinous File. Point being, I can't drink from people. If I do try to drink from people, it's like it goes directly against my clan weakness, and also I have like Death's Grasp and a few other things. So me biting people is the most unpleasant shit. I just have to poke holes in them and then like get a glass,
Oh my god, this is... Yeah.
I mean, Katya knows how to administer an IV if, you need someone to do that.
No, it's good. Like, as a necromancer, I always have need for, what's the word I'm looking for that doesn't incriminate my character? Spare parts. There we go.
Mm-hmm. Anywho. But yes, I think you two would make lovely harpies.
Well, I'll cheer to that.
Cheers to that.
Here, here.
Katya will lift her glass. Jason, you still there?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
If you ever make an alias for your character that isn't Eric Bond, I just like when you're zoomed out and you look at your character card, it looks like Eric Bond, which would be actually a pretty decent name because you'd be Eric Good.
Hmm.
Little on the nose, but yeah. Sometimes hiding in plain sight is the best option.
True. Very true.
And since things have come to kind of a natural end at this point, thank you players for playing. Thank you watchers for watching. This has been another scene for Darkness in Dublin, the Vampire Venue. See you next time.